watching this game on Sunday, I'm going, why the hell aren't the Eagles handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley? Like, let's get beyond the fact that it is a pass-heavy offense. Let's get past the fact that, like, you had multiple 3-and-outs and you're looking to get chunk yardage. Let's just look at it from the human player management perspective, okay? Your defense is gassed because of 3 straight 3-and-outs. At some point in one of those drives, the thought had to be, we're going to hand it to Saquon Barkley on 1st and 2nd down, because if nothing else, it's going to buy our defense some time. And they need it desperately. But they didn't do that. And Nick Sirianni talked about it post-game, and it was absolutely maddening. I've spent 2 days now trying to understand what the hell his point was. But Nick Sirianni was asked about why Saquon Barkley only had 2 carries on the team's first 3 drives. And we have to get to this too, because this speaks to game plan, this speaks to the head coach, this speaks to all of it. I want you to hear why Nick Sirianni says there were only 2 handoffs to Saquon Barkley through 3 drives to start the game on Sunday. Let's hear from the head coach. Remember, the head coach that this GM and owner decided needed to come back. Here you go.
Two carries in the first 3 possessions.
We had 9 plays. I mean, you had 9 plays, and 3 of them are 3rd downs. So now, he had 2 carries on 6 plays. I mean, that's the way football. I mean, when you go 3 and out, that no one's going to have any touches. Nobody's going to have any catches. We weren't sustaining drives. That's another, we can say what about the defense, but we weren't sustaining drives on offense. And so they were on the field a lot early on and a lot of plays. But I think if you see the flow of the game, you understand why that happened. But I mean, obviously we want him to get the touches of the ball, but when you don't sustain drives, then you're not going to be able to.
Okay, so I want everybody here for a second. Remember, this is an apolitical podcast. You know what I just heard? I heard one of those like canned responses that you get in debates. Legitimately, that to me was word salad. Also didn't really have any merit. Like, this was the equivalent of like, well, we have a plan. I have a plan. Saquon Barkley, he's part of our plan. I grew up with a visor. I have concepts of a plan. We went into this game and we believed Saquon would be part of it, but when you're turning the ball over, it's very hard. It's so hard to give the running back we paid a lot of money to. It's very hard to give him money and then also give him the ball and have him make big plays. Like, what the fuck is that? Seriously. Also, apologies for the bad Kamala Harris. I'm working on it, okay? We're going to get there. We're going to get there. Don't hold it against me. The Trump is great. The Kamala's okay. Maybe not even okay. All right, fine. Apolitical podcast, in fairness. Nick Sirianni's comments are so wildly off base, so devoid of reason, that alone should have been the reason he doesn't get on the plane back to Philadelphia. To recap, Saquon Barkley, who you got in the offseason to be a legitimate game changer in the backfield, right? Your number 1 offensive weapon through 3 weeks, now 4 weeks on this team. A guy who is not a guy who's not out of his depth like the wideouts were on Sunday, where you don't have Covey, who had been a backup, where you don't have Devontae Smith, where you don't have A.J. Brown. Saquon Barkley's doing his job. He's your number 1 3-down running back, right? You choose not to involve him in a way that's advantageous to him and to your offense because, we only had 9 plays. 3 of them are 3rd downs. Yeah, no shit. Figure it out. This again is why I say, is it Nick Sirianni's offense or is it Kellen Moore's offense? I want to know who exactly called the plays and who installed these decisions and who installed the game plan for the beginning of the Bucs game, because that's who I want to direct my ire at. Okay? There is a significant disconnect between what any rational human being would think is the right way to go, building a game plan when you don't have Smith and Brown, and what this team decided to do. But the notion that, like, we're not going to hand it off to Saquon Barkley back-to-back plays to start 2 of those 3 drives is insane to me. We're not going to figure out a way to incorporate Saquon Barkley on maybe first down and third down. That clip alone should have had Nick Sirianni fired. The game plan itself, you could make the argument, should have had him fired. The fact that this team wasn't ready offensively, defensively, or special teams, ready to go, should have had him fired. And yet here we are 2 days later. He is still the head coach. He will presumably be the head coach for the rest of the season. I will just clip this, okay? Everybody just make a little note. You can clip it and you can come back if I'm wrong later in the season. The only way the Eagles make the playoffs, and I'm not even saying go on a deep run, okay, because there are so many concerns right now. I can't even entertain deep run, okay? The only way that they make it is if Jalen Hurts returns or reverts back to like sort of 2022, which he physically doesn't appear capable of right now. The speed and the acceleration aren't there, okay? He needs to revert back to that guy. Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown need to come back fully healthy. And that defense needs to get a legitimate contributor at rushing the quarterback other than 72-year-old Brandon Graham, who we love and appreciate, but shouldn't be the best edge on this team. That's the only way they make the playoffs. And it's the only way that they maybe make a slightly deeper run. But right now, there are so many questions on the defensive side of the ball. And there are so many questions now about the offensive game plan. They're like, I can't entertain the idea that they're going to win the Super Bowl or that they're going to make a Super Bowl. This guy is the coach? Ooh, good luck. Now, I'm done with the Eagles for now. I'm going to go over to the comments really quick because, it's an interactive show. Sometimes we do a better job of getting everybody's comments up as the show goes, but I am a one-man show. I don't have a producer. Could I get one? Maybe. Will I? Probably not. JH says, Jalen, been hurting myself today. It's inexplicable and pathetic. These guys didn't get a second of preseason again, says Sean C. I agree. HC thinks that Sirianni and Hurts are both frauds who need to go. HC wants to know how Belichick will win a Super Bowl with Hurts. I don't know. I don't know if he can. I really don't know. Because he says if he needs a good quarterback. I think Hurts is still a good quarterback. I just think that like right now, there's a significant disconnect. And it makes me think that the head coach is meddling in the offensive game plan too much. Sean C says, I know the crosshairs are on Sirianni, but how many times has he fallen on his sword to shield Hurts from deserved criticism for the last 9 to 12 months? That's what he's supposed to do. He's the head coach. Andy Reid, even at the peak of his powers, and Andy Reid in his worst moments, fell on the sword for his team, for his quarterback. That's what you're supposed to do as a head coach. Doesn't mean that it's right, but that's kind of where we're at. It's part of how this works. Now, We the People News Network says it's because Sirianni is a yes man. I think that is why he's still here. Andrew Fawcett asks, did Howie forget to do exit day interviews with the players? T from the TO3 says Sirianni is a turd. We the People says Sirianni is a moron. He doesn't really know football. He's just a face that can't manage time or plays. Jamie comes in here with a little bit of humor. Says, I just keep laughing every time you say Jalen Hurts himself. That's right. Sean M. Hello, Sean M. I don't remember Sean M being here before. Maybe has been. Thanks for finding the show. Make sure you hit subscribe. Russ, you belong on Post Game Live, Phillies or Flyers instead of Ashlyn Sullivan. No disrespect to her. You have a much more personality and speak much better. Just my opinion. Thank you, Sean. Very nice of you. I think that Ashlyn does a nice job. I will point out to you, though, that if you haven't found it already, we do the Press Row Show every Flyers home game up by the Oregon. We stream that, and the Flyers promote that. So it's an online stream option for pregame, intermissions, and postgame. You don't have to watch NBC Sports Phillies coverage if you don't want to. You can watch the Press Row Show. It's actually referred to as the #1 pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, and north of the equator. So pretty big deal. Sean M. says that they should fire Sirianni. I fire him like Nick. I'll humor you, Sean. Nick, you're a great guy. We love your fantastic visor. I haven't seen a visor like that, believe me, since Doug Peterson. We love Doug, but we didn't love the middle part. You can't trust a guy with a middle part. Let's just go down some famous guys with middle parts. Marilyn Manson. Don't trust him. We had Aaron Carter, rest in peace. He had all those great CDs back in the day, Surfing USA. We love Aaron Carter. He had the middle part. You can't trust it. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. He was on Home Improvement. He was the young brother. Great guy. We don't know what happened to JTT. We don't know what happened to him. But we go back to Nick, who's wearing a visor like he's handing out cards at a casino, playing a little bit of Texas Hold'em. And unfortunately, we have to call Nick's bluff. We have to call his bluff, folks. He's not a very good coach. He's been bluffing for very long, and he's been saying he's all in, and it's time to call. And when we do, he's going to be out. Believe me, Nick, you're fired.